Let's continue where we left off from the last lesson. We're just about to work on the feet, so let's get started. We'll go to the left foot and work on it. And remember, we just want to have a few more poses in there so that the foot will stay planted for as long as it should. And this is just another blocking out phase. Later on, we'll go back and add some more detail to the feet when it comes time to working more on the steps. But we just want to have the feet planted. Right now, they're just sliding around like the character's on roller skates, and he sure isn't. So what we'll do is select our character set and go back to step tangency, and this is just so that our feet will stay in the position that we initially set them in, and we'll start. So we'll go to frame 10 and we want to select this left foot, and remember when we smoothed out the animation the left foot was moving forward on frame 10. Well, we just want it rolling off. We don't want it translating forward at all or in any other direction, just rolling up. So on frame 10, once we left mouse button click there, all we need to do is press Shift W to key our translate channels to lock the foot there, and key our heel pivot channel. So now the foot's locked there. Alright, great. And then as the foot's moving forward all the way to about frame 30, what we want to do here is do the same thing, and we want to make sure that we have keys on our translate X, for example, because if we don't, this key on frame 20 all the way to frame 60 will get a slow move in our translate X once we smooth out the tangency here, and we don't want any movement. The foot should be planted. So what we'll do is make sure we have a key there, and also for our translate Y we need that. We already have a key for the translate Z because we have the foot moving forward, and we want to do the same thing for our heel pivot. Have a key there, okay, for similar reasons. So on frame 30, we'll go there and press Shift W and also key our heel pivot. And then we want to take these values and apply them to frame 50 so that the foot will be planted. So what we'll do is middle mouse button click on frame 50 and press Shift W and then also key our heel pivot. Great. So now that left foot's going to be planted there. And once that's done, we can go ahead and work on the right foot, having that planted. So with that selected, we just really need to worry about this end section here because we took care of the beginning of the animation towards the beginning of this kit. So we just want to make sure that it's planted from frames 40 to 50 here. So what we'll do is again make sure that we have keys on our translate X, which we don't, and also on our translate Y, which we don't. When it comes time to lifting up the foot for the steps, we already have keys set for our translate Z, so that's fine. Then we'll go ahead and check out our heel pivot, and we need keys there too. So on frame 40, press Shift W, and we'll also key our heel pivot channel. Then we'll middle mouse button click on frame 50 and press Shift W and then key the heel pivot. Great, so now that right foot's going to be planted like how we want it to the character steps back. And if we deselect and go to our character set, okay, and then give it flat tangency by selecting that icon, we can see that as we scrub through, the feet are planted like we want them to be, where we want them to be. Okay, and the right foot looks good. We could check out the left to make sure that that's planted. Great. And the ball of the foot is rising up, and we're going to use some of that information, so that's fine. Movement there. Again, we're just blocking it out. Not time to work on the steps just yet. Great. So that takes care of our feet right now. Now we could go ahead and work on the timing, fixing the timing up. So let's hide our NURBS curves, and we'll go back to the beginning of our animation, find a nice view where our character is in shot, and then just scrub back and forth to make sure that he's staying in shot and he's at a position where when we play blast we could really see his motion, really see the timing at which certain things are happening. And just FYI, I am going to be pausing the video while the play blast is rendering, but please use that time while the play blast is rendering, while it's playing back slow, to really study the animation to see any areas that may need fixing, okay, for now and also for your future projects. But again, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video now. Here it is. So with our F-check window selected, if we hit spacebar, we can play the animation, okay, and it loops. So notice something about our push. Notice how the character seems to be pushing back the crate a little bit too fast. Okay, even though this is a light push, we still want to have some weight in there. Remember, we gave the crate some weight. It was about 40 pounds or so. So keeping that in mind, we want to make sure that our animation does reflect that, our scene bio. Okay, and we want to go for believability in here. So we want to fix some timing so that our animation will reflect that. Okay, and just before we do, let's check out a few tools in our F-check that are really going to be helpful for when it comes to examining our animation in F-check. So for one, if we hit spacebar, notice how that pauses the playback of our animation, and if we hit it again, of course it plays it back. But if we go ahead and hit spacebar and use the right directional button on our keypad, notice how it plays back the animation forward, and the left button reverses the playback. That's one cool tool there, or a couple of cool tools there. And if we hit spacebar and then go to using our left mouse button now, if we hold our left mouse button over our playback, notice how that pauses the animation. Okay, and if I let go, that plays it back. So it just gives us a temporary pause. But now I just held it again, and if we while holding the left mouse button, if we drag to the right, notice how it plays the animation forward and reverses the playback when we drag left. So those are a few cool tools that we can use when examining our animation. Okay, so now we can close out the F-check and begin working more on our timing. So what we'll do is just take the keys from frames 40, where the character moves the crate all the way back to its stopping mark, all the way to our last key here, okay, because we're going to be moving these keys down to delay their timing. So let's go ahead and shift select all of these keys, making sure all of them are in our selection. Just shift and left mouse button, click and drag. And then once we let go of that, if we hold the left mouse button right in the middle, we're now able to move these keys around. So let's move them so that that key that was once on frame 40 now lies on frame 50. Okay, so here's what we get now, a little bit slower timing as the character is pushing the crate back. And now if we do another play blast, let's work on that. We can see the fix that we've just done. Here it is. Great, so the timing is much better now when the character pushes back the crate, and we will need to adjust the timing some more of the crate and of course of the character to again strive for that believability in our project. But for right now, we're making great progress. Okay, and we're just about done with this lesson. Let's close out our play blast. The last thing we're going to do is actually hide the legs. Now you may be wondering, why are we going to hide the legs? Well, when we're animating, we want to get rid of as many distractions as we can, and we want to make that process of animating as comfortable as we can, so we can get some nice motion out of our characters and out of whatever we're animating. So what we can do to do that is actually hide certain parts of our character that we don't need to focus on just yet. And once we're done animating the parts that we do want to focus on, we'll then go back to those other parts that we've hidden, and that's going to, for one, remove some of the distraction out of our scene, and also make it so that animating is not so overwhelming by animating the whole body. Instead, we just break it up in sections and work on those sections. So we're going to find that that's going to be really helpful for us. It may seem a little bit uncomfortable at first, but once you start getting the hang of it, you'll realize that you'll probably say to yourself, why didn't I think of that sooner, if you haven't been doing that already. Okay, so let's hide our legs. We'll bring back our control curves, select our global move control, and just go to our legs, right leg and left leg. Select these two channels and put in a value of 0. So now our character's legs are hidden, and that finishes off this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to bring more of our focus to the upper body.